Okay, can anyone see my screen? Let me
Yeah, I
know.
can. Yeah, I can.
All right. So today we'll be doing usability testing. Like I said, you're all designers now, so you know how to come up with a research plan, you know how to do wireframes and all that. You know how to use Sigma or whatever tool you're comfortable in to design and do wireframes. You know how to prototype. That's the bulk of all the design work. Right. So, but how do you validate your design? How do you know that what you designed is going to go well, when you launch into the market? That's what we're going to be looking at today, and that's what we call usability testing. So we'll be looking at the importance, the benefits. Of course, there are types of usability testing, and there are tools with which you can carry out usability testing. Then we'll look at one more thing, usability heuristics. They are like guidelines. So remember when we learned about design principles. So heuristics are kind of like those things, but they are more like guidelines to help you, critique your design, so to say. So let's start. What is usability testing? Usability testing is a method of testing the functionality of your website, an app, or any other digital product by observing real users as they attempt to complete tasks on it. Usability testing is a necessary step to make sure you build an effective, efficient, and enjoyable experience for your users. Okay, when you hear usability testing, it's just all about getting real people to interact with your website, with your app, or any other product that you build. So you get real people to test, and then you observe their behavior and their reactions to it. So it's like user research. The only difference is in user research, you're trying to get them to, give you hints of what they might like in your design or in your product. But in usability testing, you're now trying to see how well you design something, how well they understand what you designed, and how well they can use that particular design or product. This is why we said here that the phrase usability testing is often used interchangeably with user testing. They're kind of like the same thing. In fact, if you hear user testing, they are probably or they are likely referring to usability testing. But it's used interchangeably in user research. So you can say user testing for user research, and then usability testing if you actually want to test your product. All right, so why do we do usability testing? The truth is that there will always be biases from everyone involved in building a product, from the designer, even the stakeholder, the developers. Everybody will have a bias because they spent time, they spent effort, and even money trying to build that product. So, asking them to validate the design will just come up will just bring a lot of biases because they'll be thinking of how much time they spent trying to bring that design to forth or trying to implement it, So they might not be the best people, right, to test the product with. And that's why we need fresh eyes when we want to test our product. Bringing in new users to test the site or to observe how people use your site is an effective way to determine a lot of things. It can help you see if your users understand your product, if they get lost or if they get confused. It can it can help you see if the users can complete the main actions that they need to. It will help you see if you have a functional design. It can help you uncover any other usability problem that you might not have seen when you were doing your research. And then it can also help you learn about your users. What do they prefer? What are their behaviors? Because there are surely going to be things that you missed out during research, and you've carried, whatever information you had then, you've carried it all the way to your final design. So when you do usability testing, you can then see all those blind spots, and it's an opportunity for you to then treat it. So, what are the types of usability testing? Anytime you collect data, it will, especially in usability testing, it will only be in two forms. Either it's qualitative or it's quantitative. There are only two of it, right? So in qualitative testing, you're focusing on collecting a user's insights, their findings, just how people use the product or service. That's what you're concerned with in qualitative testing. And it is best for discovering problems in user experience. Actually, qualitative testing is even more common than quantitative testing. I feel it's because it's easy for people to carry out qualitative testing more than quantitative testing. Not everyone understands data. Not everyone knows how to read figures and facts. And that's what quantitative testing is about. So in quantitative testing, you're focusing on metrics that describe the user experience. And there are basically like two major metrics that people concern themselves with when they are carrying out quantitative testing. And task success and time on task. Were they able to complete the task? And then how much time did it take them to complete the task? Those are like the main things they look out for in quantitative testing. Please, if I'm too fast, let me know and I'll gladly go back. So let's look at the differences in the both of them. We have quantitative on the left and we have qualitative on the right. So I'll be taking them one after the other. For quantitative usability testing, it measures users' performance, like I said, on a given task, such as the percentage of users that were able to complete a task, right? So it's all about the numbers, it's all about the facts and the figures. In fact, in quantitative testing, that's where you hear about ROI, return on investment. That's when you hear about business metrics, revenue, sales. People that are into finance, they know this better, but that's kind of like part of the things quantitative testing gives to you. But in qualitative testing, it involves observing users to understand how they experience your product. Why did you click this? Why did you click that? Why they perform certain actions. That's part of what qualitative testing is all about. Back to quantitative testing, it enables you to validate design decisions and to find usability problems. So I want to point out something here. Qualitative testing is used to inform design decisions and then to gain in-depth insights into a user's behavior or their emotions. So the difference here is in qualitative, you are informing your design decisions. In quantitative, you are validating those decisions. So here's the thing. When you carry out qualitative, right, you're just trying to find out the why behind that action. What did the user do? Why did they do? In quantitative, you will not be there. The user would have performed the task already. And it's just giving you like measurements, like time on the task, success rate. So it will validate your decision. If you made, for example, you wanted them to order something and you made it 5 clicks for them to order something. In quantitative, it tell you how much time it took them to carry out that order. So in quantitative, you are validating, while in qualitative, you are informing your design decisions. So let's move on. The results in quantitative, like I've said, is usually just data, statistics, percentage, you just call it numbers, right? So they're all numbers. In qualitative, it's you or the researcher, your impressions on that test. That's what qualitative results looks like. So it's whatever you say, it's whatever you say the user did, whatever you feel the user reacted to. Those are what's going to be your results for qualitative. So that's why we said findings are based on the researcher's impressions or their user comments and their feedback. Finally, data in quantitative usability tests is indirectly recorded while the participants are carrying out the task. You're not going to be there. It's just like your survey, when you are doing your group task, for example, you sent out Google Forms, right? You did surveys, and then you got back, and then you saw, all the data, all the answers they're giving you. That's kind of like what quantitative testing gives to you. You saw only 8 people responded, for example. If you put in more options, you would have seen people that responded from their phone or people that responded from their laptops or desktops. That's what quantitative usability testing is all about. Then in qualitative, the data is collected by observation, purely by observation. So that's why you need to record sessions and you need to jot things down. So yeah, to summarize these differences, qualitative testing is all about understanding the why behind the user's action, while quantitative testing helps you understand their experience through data and statistics. Um, yeah, so that's that. Let's move on to usability testing methods. When running a usability study, you have to decide on one of the two. And it also depends on what you want to get out of the session, right? So we have moderated and unmoderated testing methods. Both of them are viable and they have their advantages and their disadvantages. Like I said, it depends on your research goals, it depends on what you want to get out of it. So in a moderator usability test, there's a moderator. It's just like the name implies. There's a moderator that is the participants during the test to guide them through it. The role of this moderator is usually to facilitate the session, they'll instruct the user on the task to complete, and they'll ask follow-up questions and provide relevant guidance. You're not going to tell them how to do it, but you just be there to guide them through it. So that's moderated. Basically, there's someone there telling them what to do, how to do it. In unmoderated, it happens without the presence of a moderator. That's the basic difference. In moderated, there's someone there facilitating the session. In an unmoderated, there is nobody there. The participant is giving instructions and tasks to complete beforehand, and no one is present when they're completing the assigned task. So kind of like your survey, those things you send out and then you go and check later. That's what unmoderated is. You're not there when they're carrying out the task. You're not there when they're selecting their options or when they're answering your questions. You just go back and check later. In moderated, you have to be there. So moderated, it can be virtual or it can be physical. It depends on the company's budget and all that. So that's what we call remote unmoderated usability test. In the remote, you'll be there, you'll be watching. So it's like the Zoom we're using right now. You can use that. We share, the participants will share their screen while you will just be watching through your own end. So technically you're still there, right? So it's a moderated usability test. But in a test where you are not going to be present in any form at all, that's unmoderated. Other examples of unmoderated usability tests include the first click test, session recording, eye tracking. If you record a session and you go back to check it, and you were not there when it was being carried out, that's an unmoderated usability test. So the gist here is that in unmoderated, you are not present in any form or in any way. So how do we create usability test scripts? Just like in your research plan, when you wanted to carry your research, I saw many of your research plans and it was very good. So it's the same thing in usability testing. You start by breaking it down into 4 sections: the introduction, the background, the questions, the background questions, the task, and then you wrap it up. There is almost no difference between your usability test script and your research plan. Someone probably has to read through to understand that, okay, this is for usability testing, or to understand that this is for a research. So in your introduction, you start with why you want to carry out a usability test. You have your objectives, just like you created your research plan, the exact same thing. Then in your background questions, you want to think about questions that will get the user to, get a feel for what you want to do, like it's like warm up, right? So there are two confusing things here: background questions and tasks. They are two different things. In the background question, you're just going to ask the person, just like if you want to interview someone, for example, you not just start with direct questions. You beat around the bush for a little bit just to warm up the session, right? So that's what your background question will be. An example will be, let's use the iBook app that you guys created. The background question for this iBook app would be, do you like books? Do you read books? When was the last time you read a book? So just preparing the person for the task that you're going to give the person. So that's just it. You can also ask the person, how well, do you use your phone? Are you tech savvy? Those are background questions, just to get a feel for who this person is that you want to test. And then for the task proper, it is, in fact, you can actually do this without writing it down, but it's just advisable. Everything you want to tell the user to do, you need to write it down. Those are the tasks. They are not background questions. So for example, I know it's an app, right? So if I want to see, your task will also depend on your goal for this usability test or your objective for the usability test. For example, if I want to see how easy it is for them to donate a book, in my task, I'll write log in and donate a book. So that's exactly how I'll ask the user. I'll tell the person, okay, are you ready to start the test? They'll say yes, right? And I'll say, okay, log in and try to donate a book. So your task is exactly how you give it to the user. The way you write it down is how you should give it to the user. What you're trying to see there is how easy is it for them to log in, how easy for them to navigate the app and get to where they can donate, the book. That's just basically. Another example is that I can tell them, okay, they've logged in. I can say, go and change your profile picture. That can be a task. I want to see how easy it is for them to find where they can change their profile picture. Just like that. And then you carry out your task. And then in the wrap-up session, this is where, when you carry out a test and there are incentives, maybe 500 naira recharge card or iTunes gift card, all those things you share to people to make them want to carry out your test or your task for you. That's what we have in the wrap-up session. So normally you just write at the end of this session, the user will be giving 500 naira research card, recharge card rather. That's just what your wrap-up is about. Whatever you will end the session with, you need to include it because in your company's budget, these are the things they are going to look at before they give you a budget for the usability testing. Okay, so it is very important. So your usability test, for your usability test to go well, your script should have clear objectives, like I said, and then you create tasks based on those objectives. You need to review it by your peers. You will not just write it by yourself and then go and submit. You need to review it and then you modify it based on their feedback. It also needs to be well timed. This is very important because people don't have a lot of time. Neither do you, to be honest. If you're testing 5 to 10 people, think about how much time it's going to take. So ideally, it should be around 30 minutes. No user task testing session should exceed 30 minutes, okay? Or else, it's an edge case, or else it requires that, or you're enjoying the session. But always consider the person's time, the tester's time. Especially if it's the first one you're carrying out, you don't want it to be long. Even you will be weared out before the end of it. Okay, then finally, be tested by a colleague before giving it to real usability testers. This is what we might call pilot testing. So before you bring in strangers into your company, or before you send out your questions to strangers, it is advisable to test within your company. Already your developers know about this product. So what you might want to do is you can take all your test scripts or whatever you want to test with. You can take it to an entirely different department, like the finance. or even marketing, or even the catering department, like any other unrelated department within your company, you can take your test there and run it by them, see how they perform, right? Take their feedback, and it can help you better prepare for the actual usability testing. All right, so usability testing too. Of course, it's stressful if you're going to have to carry out usability testing by yourself. So we have a lot. There are so many these days. We have a lot of software that will help you easily carry out usability testing. So these tools are solutions to streamline the testing process, and then you can gather insight into how people use, perceive, and experience your product. What these tools basically help you do is you submit your prototype for your website into this software or into this tool, and then they can now allow you check how people accomplish tasks. Any task that you give to them, that's what they will give to people. Okay, all you have to do is come back and check for the results. And then, of course, you can then identify any possible frustration or opportunities that you need to improve on. The ultimate goal of using testing tools is to track feedback faster. Like it's better if I have to just upload my design and ask 100 people to test and I don't have to be there. It is far better than if I have to run it by myself. Okay, so that's that. Many examples, but the main ones include usability testing, usabilityhub.com, Maze of Design, Hotjar, and usertesting.com. There are so many. If you go back to do your research, you find a lot of them. So what should the tool be able to show? And this is how you decide on what tool you want to use. And of course, there are prices. So like I said, you have to include all these things in your test script. So your company will come up with the right budget for your testing process. So the tool should be able to show actionable UX insights. What that means is it should tell you, okay, 50% of people were able to carry out your task. It can tell you that you need to improve this. It can tell you need to improve that. That's what, for example, user Zoom to tell you that, to give you insight into like how you can make your product better. Your tool should also be able to give you customer and user feedback. You see it a lot in every app you do. They ask you to rate the app. They ask to quickly complete this survey. So the tool you're using should be able to give you that, because you cannot be doing that by yourself. And you need to reach as much customers as possible. So we have tools like Qualitative, and we have tools like Usability. So those ones give you survey, they give you user feedback and customer feedback. Then if you want a tool where you can see how people are clicking on maybe on your product, on your app, or on your website, you want to see screenshots of when they were using it. If you even want to watch how they were using your product, your website, or your app, there are tools that can do that. Two of the best ones we have Crazy Jar, Hotjar, and Crazy Egg. Like these two tools, it has a lot of functionality, but one of the reasons people go to them is you can actually watch people use your website or your app. It's very, very, very exciting to use. I've used Hotjar and I can attest to it. So it's one of those things you need to look out for when you're looking at it too. What are the benefits of usability testing? Of course, to validate your prototype. Testing on a prototype first can help you, decide whether this is how you should go. If you prototype your design and you're fine with it, by the time you test it, you might find out that, oh, you had the wrong assumption. Like you might find out that there are some things that you need to change. So you might find out that, oh, this design, it works. Like we can go to the market, like we can go straight to launching. You only know that through usability testing. So that's one of the benefits. It can help you confirm your product meets expectations. If your user cannot do what your product wants them to do, it's not meeting expectations. And you can only know that through usability testing. It can help you identify issues with complex workflows. When I was giving like a feedback about a user flow, and I was already very confused. So this is part of what usability testing can help you do. If you ask somebody to go through to change their profile picture, right? And they're going to settings. Meanwhile, you have a picture right there on their home screen. That's a complex workflow. In your head, all you thought was that they'll just click on their picture and they'll change it. But for them to go to settings instead, then that means that flow is not very clear. So that's kind of what usability testing will help you see. All those things you thought this is how user might go about it, and they start going about it in a different way. So yeah, usability testing will help you identify issues with all your workflows. That catching minor errors is kind of like it, but let's say you even did not spell some things correctly. And that's why you need to test. You need to test over and over again. You might miss some things. You might not have included a picture where you were supposed to include it. So during usability testing, because you are watching the testing carry out this task, even you will spot those errors that they will spot. Definitely you will develop empathy because you're watching somebody. You will see them struggle and then you realize that, oh, you could have made this thing better. So yeah, the lead testing will help you develop empathy too, not only your user research. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, it will help you provide a better user experience. If you take everything you've learned from the usability test, you go back and you iterate or ideate on it, of course, your product should look way better. So yeah, we're heading to usability heuristics for UI design, but I want to quickly show you an example of a usability test. So we have this, one of the examples I gave you was usabilityhub.com, right? So this is what it looks like. They also pay people to test, in case you want to become a tester. And we have many, many other softwares like this. So this is usabilityhub.com. I'm already logged in on this one. So usually you just click on get started. Like I said, it depends on the type of task that you want to carry out. So for this particular one, what I did here was I designed a website, right? And I wanted to see if users can understand what the website is about. That is just what I wanted to find out, right? So what I did here was I uploaded my design and then I just picked questions that I wanted people to answer. So let's review what it looks like. So preview. When you send this link out to users, this is how it will look like. This is an example of an unmoderated usability test. So right now, what we're seeing is as if I'm carrying out this test, but I've already pre-programmed it. Okay, so this is what I'll see. Hello, you've been invited to participate in a short test, right? So I'll click on start. So look at this is called a 5-second test. I just want to see if people can understand this website within 5 seconds of looking at it. So the instruction here is look at the interface for 5 seconds and remember as much as you can, right? That's what it's telling me to do. I'll click on view image for 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, I need to just view this image. I need to scroll through. See, in 5 seconds, they already took it away. Okay, so that's how I set it. I just want to see if they can know what the website is about within 5 seconds of landing on the page. So now the follow-up question, what is this website for? And I can just answer, what words or sentence do you recall? I think I recall dating, the brand appeared trustworthy. I say yes, continue. What was your impression of the design? I can just write whatever I want. This is just a preview. And that is it. Within 5 seconds, they tested. And what I have to do now is go back here and then I'll just view my results. Let me see if I can view the results. Right. So this is what it looks like. These are the results. So I had 17 responses from 17 people, and I can just export the results to a CSV, like your Excel sheet, and to just give me like more answers. Can just give me more answers. Okay, look at this first one. the first question that we ask, what is this website for? You know, we had 17 answers. So look at people's answers. Making new friends, dating, dating, dating. Someone said meeting new friends. Somebody said advertisement for a website, dating, dating. Someone said education. In 5 seconds, they were able to find out what this site is about. And majority of the answer said dating, which is correct. Okay, so that's kind of like how you can carry out the ability testing. I already know that, okay, at least my design passes the right message. In 5 seconds, people know what my design is about. So what words or sentences or elements do you recall? Date, date. Someone said bumble. Someone said we are not just for dating anymore. Someone said colors and pictures. Someone said date, date. So they get it. In 5 seconds, they could get it. If you ask me, I'm fine with my design because obviously it's doing what I want it to do. Okay, and I can export all these things into an Excel sheet if I needed to report it, in a company or in an organization. So I just wanted to quickly show you that that's how you can carry out usability testing very, very, very quickly. And this website is usabilityhub.com in case you want to try it out. Okay, so back to heuristics. Usability heuristics for UI design. Like I said in the beginning, these are just like guidelines. Okay, so a heuristic evaluation is a usability inspection method and it's mainly used to identify any design issue associated with the user interface. So it's mainly for your UI. You know, when you finish your design, if you want to test, like if you know these rules, if you know these heuristics, and you want to test by yourself, identify the changes before you send it out. These are what, in fact, some companies outsource these usability heuristics. When you finish designing, they have UX experts. They have people that they send their designs to help them see if your design is meeting all these usability heuristics. They're usually 10 in number, so it's just like a check list, right? So if your design this is a design that they'll check it, check it, check it. If you have 8/10, or you have 9 out of these 10, then your UI is very good to go. So what can it help you do? They will help you save development. They will help to save development teams considerable amount of time doing their testing, and then they can direct attention to any complex design challenges. So let's see what each and every one of them is about. They are very self-explanatory, but I'll go through it. So the first one is visibility of system status. The system should always, so the rule states that the system should always keep users informed about what is going on through appropriate feedback within reasonable amount of time. I mean, this is very, very clear. People like to keep things under their control. They love to make sure that things are under their control and they can feel secure about your app or your website or your product if they feel that they have control of it. So what you want to do, what you want to make sure your UI is doing is that it is giving them a sense of control. Every information, every action they are taking, within that time they are taking, you need to give them feedback. So this is an example. When you click on upload, there should be a loading icon or something, whatever way you want to design it. But at that point in time, you should tell the person that, okay, this action you took, this is the reaction for it, and this is the feedback, right? So if I click on upload, I should be saying this, and it should be keeping me updated, right? So when it's 35, when it's 75, it should keep telling me uploading. If it fails, it should also tell me, yeah, your upload has failed, or try again, or something. So that's basically what this first heuristic is about, keeping users in the know of what is going on at every point in time. Another example is on our mobile phone, whether Android, whether iPhone, whether iOS. Once you click on your power button, there are some things that you will see for sure. Your date, your time, even your date, your time, and your signal strength or your SIM card status. You must see it whenever your phone lights up, whenever you click on your power button. Imagine you open your phone and you don't see anything. Like you're not seeing empty and you're not seeing Etisalat. You're not seeing your battery status. You're not seeing date and time. You think your phone has gone black. So that's part of the usability heuristic. You need to keep people in the know of what is going on at every point in time. If you plug in your phone and it doesn't show charging, or your phone does not light up, you'll be wondering if your charger is bad. So that's part of what this is about. Give users feedback for every action that they are taking. Okay, I think this is clear. So let's move on to the next one. A match between system and the real world. So this rule states that the system should speak to users' language, with words, phrases, concepts, anything that is familiar to the user, anything that they already use in real world. That is just it. So you follow real world conventions whenever making so you make information appear in a natural order. So the example we have here is the iBook. You know, when we're talking about our iBook donation app, this website, for example, so this is an iPad. So this iPad have made all the books look like they are on a shelf. You know what they are doing? Imitating real world. If you go to a library, if you go to a bookstore, your books will most likely be on a shelf. It just gives you, so what this app on the iPad is trying to do is to make sure there's a match between the system and the real world. So you know that, okay, these are all the books you have on your shelf, and they'll keep filling up, right? As you add more books or as you remove any book, as the case may be. So that's kind of what you want to do. The way you design things should really, really look like what they already know in real life. Let's look at fintech apps, for example. All our mobile banking apps, they have not where our ATM card looks, right? If you go to your mobile banking app, you will see the same resemblance of an ATM card. When you go to, I don't know, when you go to your cards, I think you will see an ATM resemblance. So it's just trying to give you that natural feeling for whatever you're dealing with. If I open this app, for example, iBook, and I saw just a list, they didn't even give me book covers. How will I even know that these are all my books? Like it doesn't really, really resonate. I mean, it might work, right? But just to add more natural flair to whatever you're designing, just make it look like real world scenarios. We have traffic lights, red, white, red, green, and yellow. It's kind of why anything you want people to be wary of, to use red. Because in real life, we know that on traffic, for example, when you see red, you're supposed to stop. Like it's just a reminder. So when you see cancel buttons and it's red and it's big and shiny, it's kind of like the same thing. So you want to use what people already know. Okay, so it feels more natural to them whenever they use your product. User control and freedom, that's the third one. So users often choose system control by mistake. Of course, we all make mistakes. And then they will need a clearly marked emergency exit to leave the unwanted state without having to go through an extended dialogue. So basically, this is like support, undo, and redo. That's the summary of this part. Okay, so whenever someone wants to carry out an action or they do it mistakenly, on that same screen, like instead of taking them back and forth, allow them to make their decision. That's why when you see, when you click on delete, they'll ask you, do you really want to delete? Okay, so it's not because they are preventing you from carrying. They want to be sure that you really wanted to carry out that action. Okay, so that's what, and if you have done something, you should be able to undo. Even on your Figma, if you mistakenly make a button another color, you can press Ctrl Z, right? And it takes you back to your previous state. So that's all user control and freedom is about. This one is very, very self-explanatory. So moving on, we have consistency and standards. Users should not have to wonder whether different words, situations, or actions mean the same thing. Basically, follow platform conventions. If I see, with this example, I'm trying to order something. If I don't see a cat, or a bag. Let's just say I see any other random icon, for example. I might be wondering, okay, where's I want to check out. I want to go and order for this one. Where would I find it? In real life, when you go to like ShopRite or when you go to malls, you see that trolley, right? That's because you put all your products in it and you want to check out, you want to pay for it, and you have to pack all your products in that trolley. So basically, what e-commerce websites or designs have done over time or over the years is that they've imitated real life shopping. So anytime you see this cart, anytime you see this trolley, for example, you know that that is where all your items are. Okay, and another example is like when you see the favorite icon, the heart icon, or the love icon, you know that those are the icons, those are the items that you've added to your cart or the items you like and you want to revisit later. Another one is this bell that was seen. Nobody needs to tell you that it's certification. Okay, so but you already know now because over time people have used it and it has stuck. So when we say don't reinvent the wheel, this is what we mean. Always stick to the mental model of people. Don't try to teach them something new. As from some of our designs on the iBook, I was seeing like random icons that do not really relate to the iBook app that you're designing. That is very, very risky because your users might not know what it means. So usually, okay, when we want to go to the home icon, for example, it's always an icon of a house, right? Because we know anywhere we see it means that it's taking us home. I think this is very clear. Like just use, conventions that people are already used to. So error prevention. This is kind of like the user control and freedom. Good error messages are important, definitely, but the best designs carefully prevent the problem from occurring in the first place, right? So instead of allowing them to make the mistake and then helping them to correct it, you can also avoid them, like help them avoid the mistake in the first place. So you either eliminate the condition, the error code condition, or you check it for them and you present it with a confirmation option before they commit to the action. So this is one I've experienced personally. When you want to send a file or when you want to attach something on Gmail, for example, and you press send and you did not attach that file, Gmail will tell you you wrote find attached in your message, but there are no files attached. Send anyway. So it's already preventing you from sending and then going to undo and then you start typing your message again or you start attaching your file from the beginning again. It tells you that you said you wanted to attach something, but you did not attach it. So do you want to send it like that? So that's what, when you're designing your UI, these are the things you have to check for. Instead of allowing them to make the mistake, prevent them from making the mistake in the first place. Yeah, I think this is also clear. So we'll move on. Recognition rather than recall. So this one is very, very important. So it's saying minimize the user's memory load by making elements, actions, and options visible. Users should know how to remember information from one part of the interface to another. In a day, somebody uses 15 to 20 apps. The last thing you want your user to do is when they finally land on your own app or on your own website, they start thinking of, oh, how does this work? What was it that I typed before? What if I checked something before? I just want to come back and check it again, right? Or I wanted to send that same website or that same screenshot to somebody. So for you to give me that stress or that work to go and start typing something all the way from the beginning, or to go and start remembering how I did something, that's a lot of stress. And as long as you're considering the user, the ultimate goal is to make their experience delightful, make it better, make it stress-free. So that's what this one is all about. Recognition rather than recall. So your system should be able to give them hints if you use Google Chrome, even on your phone nowadays, when you put in a username and a password, Google will ask you save password. Why they are doing that is so that the next time you have to log in to that same website, you don't need to start typing your username and password from the beginning. That's basically what it is. Okay, so it just so the next time Google will just tell you, you just bring up your what you just use username and password. Google will bring up your safe password for you. I know that with time, we now tend to actually even forget what password that we use. But think about it, it saves a lot of time. I'd rather just click on it and go ahead than having to type my username and password every time I have to log into a particular website. So yeah, you have to take note of that. In our example here, Google does the same thing. When you start typing something, Google will already start giving you like options to choose from. Like, and you'll be thinking like, how do they know this is what I want to type? That is what good design is about. That's what good UI is about. That's what sticking to heuristics does for you, right? So it just makes things easy. Why does Google, like I'm just, instead of typing look different or fade in or look different state, I can just quickly click on it and go to where I need to go. It saves me a lot of time. Right? So yeah, that's what recognition is all about. So flexibility and efficiency of use. We call these things accelerators. Of course, the user would not even know that that's what you're trying to do, but technically it is what you're trying to do. So what it does is that it speeds up the interaction for the expert user so that the system can cater for inexperienced and experienced users. Basically, just allow your users to tailor their frequent actions. This example we have of Pinterest, right? In fact, I even saw it in every other person's design, but we don't even know where it's coming from or why we need to do that. It's just like the example I gave before. Pinterest is asking me to log in. I saw an image, right, on Google search, Google images. I clicked on it and it's a Pinterest image. And then for me to even go to Pinterest, I need to log in to see more. That's fine. Why do I now need to start typing my email address and my password from beginning? I already logged into Pinterest and other places. Why do I need to go to? All I wanted to see is that image. So what they've done here is sign in with, continue with Google, continue with Facebook. I find that it's easier for people to click this one. So you click with continue, you click on continue with Google, and then you go straight to your Google account. Once you click on that Google account, you're into Pinterest or you're into wherever you want to go. So yeah, flexibility and efficiency of use. That's basically what it's about. Hi Joy, we can see you. Okay, moving on. So yeah, whenever you see this, continue with Facebook, continue with Google, it's always because we want people to be flexible with how they use the system. We don't want to stress them. So anyhow we can design sites, anyhow we can design app to make sure that people use things quickly and more efficiently, we should do that. That's basically what number 7 is all about. So we're moving to number 8, aesthetic and minimalist design. I remember when we're talking about design principles, white space, negative space, minimalist design was also part of the, hi Joy, we can see you, was also part of the, um, was also part of the design principles that we were talking about, right? So dialogue should not contain information which is irrelevant or really needed. I remember saying that at that on that particular screen, if you find anything that would not immediately help the user, it's excess, remove it. Every extra unit of information in a dialogue competes with the relevant information, and then of course to diminish their relative visibility. For example, just look at this Google search screen. They're not giving you any information that you don't need. I've seen, like, I'm not calling out anybody right now, right? But we've seen some browsers where you have your search and they'll not start giving you news right behind it. They'll not start giving you, updates or whatever. It's kind of distracting. It's distracting users from what they really wanted to do. I might come here now and I want to search, but if I now see Mayoku and Davido, thought today at the airport, I will most likely leave what I wanted to search for, and I'll start going to read the news, right? And that it might just lead me to like further news, and I'll just go down that rabbit hole. And that was not what I intended to do in the first place. So basically, we're saying here that include only the designs that are relevant to that particular screen. Like if you want them to search, include a search bar, make it very, very bold, very visible, and that is all they need on that page. If the person is looking for news, they will search for news, and then of course they can now go to the website. But clearly, what you want them to do here is just to search, right? So you allow them to do just that. Try to keep as empty as look at this screen, it looks very empty, but it gives them the exact thing they need to do. So I know how it might feel sometimes, but as empty as your design might look, if it serves the purpose, if it works, if it's fine, if it's following the design principles, then it is okay. Like you don't need to add any extra information. It also reduces cognitive load. Cognitive load in the sense that um, how much information somebody has to take in at a particular time. You know, this is also why we break down registration forms. If your form is very long, break it down. You know, there are some forms where you see step one, step two, step three. What they've done there is they've reduced cognitive load. Instead of you to see 20 form fields at the same time, they'll break it down into like maybe 888 or 555, however you want to do that. But that is why we do that. So, just pay attention to these things. Um, Another thing I wanted to point out here is you need to have these rules, maybe learn them offhand or just have them somewhere and you use them to carry out your usage evaluation. Like if I was looking at a design, right? I'll look at okay, is it minimal enough? Is it aesthetic enough? Does it help me carry out what I want to carry out at that particular time? And I'm explaining how exactly you carry out your usage evaluation. Maybe we'll come back to it. Let's just finish up. So number 9 is will help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. Yeah, big one. Because we've seen many, many 404 pages like not found or what you're looking for is not here. So what the rule states is that error messages should be expressed in plain language, no codes, precisely indicate the problem, and then constructively suggest a solution. So this is mainly for empty states or for error messages like clearly stated. I've seen some websites where when I click on it, I'll now see error 404, I'll now see HTTP, a bunch of code, a bunch of code, a bunch of code. How does that help me? What mistake did I do? How do I get out of it? It doesn't tell me anything like that. So this number 9 is saying that you should help them recognize the mistake they've done, help them understand it, and then help them recover from it. So when you see 404 pages, or even when you see an empty page, for example, on Google Photos, right? When you go to photos, my photos, and let's say you've not snapped any picture at all, that page will not be blank. For example, if you tell you see an illustration, right? Just to make it very nice. You see an illustration, they'll say, oh, you don't have any pictures here. Click on camera to start taking pictures. That's a very good example of, how to coin or how to constructively suggest a solution based on that error. In our example here, eHarmony is a dating site. So, this broken heart with a plaster makes sense, okay, for an illustration they want to use. So you can say, so they said, that page couldn't be found, but you're looking for love in all the right places. Let's find someone right for you. And then there's a call to action. Join now, or if you're already a member, log in. So that is what your error messages should look like. Tell them what they went, how they went wrong. Be nice about it, and then provide a solution. Like error messages should always have a call to action. I've also seen some websites where they'll direct it to like maybe their FAQ, right? So it will give you like a list of possible things they think you might be trying to do. So always remember that in your error messages or in your empty state. When you go to maybe your recycle bin, for example, on an app, it can tell you um, your trash is clean or nothing is in here yet. Delete some messages and you find them here. That's a very good error message. So that's basically um, what number 9 heuristic is talking about. And finally, help and documentation. So even though it is better if the system can be used without documentation, it may be necessary to provide help and documentation. Any such information should be easy to search. It should be focused on the task the user wants to carry out. It should list the concrete steps, for them to carry it out. And then it should not be too large. Okay, so it's piggybacking off the error message thing that we just talked about. So whenever you need users to carry out a task and they are not clear about it, you should have like an icon or something, a way to direct them to your FAQ page or to your help page. So this example that we have here, that is basically what it's about. We have an FAQ page where you can learn about domains. So this is good at the website domains and all that. So in here you can then get further information, about any task you want to carry out at all. And see, despite all these things, we have a search function here. So even if you can't see what you're looking for, you can quickly search for it. Everybody needs a little bit of help, especially when you're not very, very familiar with the site. Okay, so oh yeah, an example just occurred to me. On your phone, when you see that there's this eye icon, it's like an eye or like for further information. When you see a form and they ask you for um, how much salary are you earning right now. They usually put a small I beside that question. So if you click on that I, it will tell you exactly why they're asking for that amount because they know that people might not want to put in their salary on that survey or on that form. They know. So what they are doing there is they are giving you more help and they're documenting why they need you to carry out that action. So basically what number 10 is saying is that if there's any way you can help a user to understand your UI, you should do that. Either through an FAQ page, through an icon. There are some places where you hover on something and there will be an explanation. Like once you're just hovering around, it's telling you what it does. It's also kind of like your tooltip. When you open a new app or a new website, for example, they'll tell you, welcome to this. This is your dashboard. Click here to do this. Click here to do that. Click here to do that. And you can just skip the tour or end the tour if you don't want to continue. But that's part of help and documentation. So basically providing more information that the user might need, to carry out any task at all. So that is yeah. So it's just like our design principles too. Okay, that one was 12, but this one is 10. Again, the principles and the heuristics are two different things. The principles will help you design, right? The heuristics will help you find out whether what you designed is the way it should be designed, whether you designed with a user in mind. Okay, so what we want to do is I have a design, right? So I'll now start. I have my checklist of number 1 to 10. So I'll now start. Visibility of system status. Does my design tell people where they're supposed to be at every point in time? Oh, yes, it does. Okay, so number 1 is good. Do the icons, those on my system design, does it look like real world design? And is it relatable? If people look at this thing, would they know what it is? Oh yes, it does that. Then I'll know that okay, number 2 is good. So you're basically using it to cross-check your design. Yeah, I think that's just what we should leave it at. You're using heuristics to cross-check your design. And I've said it before, there are companies that take your UI design. They say they need a UI designer, right? Okay, so you do all that. You design your UI and you submit it to them, your Figma file and whatever, hand it off to them. They will go and run this test. There are people called UX specialists that run all these kinds of tests, or UX experts, whatever in the name it is in the field. but they'll give your design to these people. And this is what these people will do with your design. They'll bring out all these heuristics and they'll start running it one after the other and seeing if it checks. Some clients don't really know about, what you've done wrong, or what you did right. But you'll be surprised that they'll come back and tell you this is that, this is that. And they will not even add sister and tell you, oh, they know design too. It's obviously not true. But they've got to run the check, and then they're not telling you what you need to change, what you need to do. So yeah, so to avoid all those things, you that already knows these heuristics, the best thing to do is to check the heuristics by yourself. Okay, confirm that everything is good and the way it should be before you submit your UI design. So yeah, consistency and standards, make sure that everything is the way it should be. Error prevention, of course, prevent errors before it takes place. Just make sure that, and when you're designing, there are always micro interactions. This pop-up just made me remember it. It takes a lot of time. But remember, I even mentioned this when we were giving feedback on our prototype. End to end is very important. If you are going somewhere, you can't stop midway. You're either going to have to go back or you keep going forward. Even if you're lost, you ask questions, right? And then you proceed based on whatever answers you get. So it is very important that you design end to end. If I click on X, what should it do? If I click on OK, what should it do? If I click on cancel, what should it do? So that is kind of why design could take a lot of time. You have to design each screen to the very end. You cannot design the home screen like on all of you, on most of the prototypes I was seeing. You design the home screen and that is it. If I click on profile, what does it do? Where does it take me to? If I click on back, what does it do? So yeah, error prevention is part of all those things. If I click on something you don't want me to click on, my design should be able to help you prevent that error, or at least take you back to where you're coming from. Recognition rather than recall, and I know this is very clear. Basically, just help their memory, help the user's memory load. Whatever it is that username and password part is like the most efficient example I can give right now. Okay, so every time a user has to log into your system, make sure that it is easy for them. I've seen designs where they say, welcome back, pick up where you left off. On Spotify, the last music you were listening to, when you come back, it will still bring you back there. So that's another example of what recognition rather than recall is. So immediately you come back there, you remember, oh, this is exactly where I was. Flexibility and efficiency of use, whatever will make their work faster. Even on Figma, Control Z, Control D, Control V, copy and paste, all these shortcuts, they are for flexibility and efficiency of use. So if I was going to take 1 hour to design a product, for example, if I have shortcuts, it will take you 1 hour, it will take me 30 minutes. Because instead of dragging and dropping, I'll just do Control C, Control V, Control D, just like that. And quickly, I'm done with my design. So yeah, that's efficiency. Minimalist design, you already know. Only the screens that are relevant to the user's particular task should be there. However empty your design is going to look, it is fine as long as it is helping them carry out their task. And then we already went about the for messages and help and documentation. So yeah, that is all we have on heuristics and on usability testing. I'll be including resources so you can read more on it. And of course, you have your task or your assignment. So does anybody have any questions? I'm waiting for raised hands. If you have any questions, because you'll be needing to run a test, you might be needing to run a usability test for your task. So if it's not clear, ask now and save you the stress of going to ask, later channel or any other platform. Just raise your hand and I'll get to you. Wow, okay, so I believe all is clear. You know how to carry out the ability test, you know the tools, you know why you need to carry it out. And then if you have a UI design, you can comfortably run all the UI heuristics, all the heuristic evaluation, you can comfortably carry it out. That's what this silence is making me believe. So you can go ahead and carry out your assignment. Can we say, okay, Emeka is asking, can we say page 4 is bad UI? Um, yeah, I don't think page 4 is bad UI per se, but it's not exactly good UI. If I click on an error message, for example, if I click on a website and it takes me to an error message and I just see 404, the reason it's not good UI is what did I do wrong? How should I go out of this place? Like, how do I correct my mistake? It's not telling me any of these things. And it's not even being nice about it. It's just telling me 404. Or it's just giving me code. So, yeah, your error messages need to be more structured. But I won't still say it's bad UI. I won't still say it's bad UI. But just endeavor, right? Yeah. Endeavor to include or construct your error messages properly. If I did something wrong, tell me what I did wrong, then give me options, tell me how to go back, how to go out of it. Your assignment, what is our assignment? Your assignment will be posted in the announcement in the UI channel soon enough. Any other questions before we wrap up? Oh yeah, and does any mentor have anything to add to it? Okay, so I guess not. I guess we're all good. I'll be looking forward because this one will be very exciting. I'll be looking forward to your um, assignment. Is there any law as regards effects like drug shadows or issues like color blindness? Okay, that's an accessibility problem, right? Of course, this is you considering people that might be colorblind and designing for such people. Definitely. So we have accessibility guidelines, A11Y. We have them on Google, we have them on material design, both for Android and for iOS. So yeah, you need to read up on design for accessibility. You need to check out those guidelines. There are certain things, there are certain ways you need to tweak your design. So even someone that is colorblind can relate. Okay, even for images, for example, there are captions or there are, let's say, um, tags on your images. When an image is refusing to load, or if it's taking time to load, you might already see what the image is about, even before it loads. That's a little bit like an accessibility problem because they can't see the image, but at least you've written what the image is about. So you might see something like picture of woman holding a cup. That's what it's doing for you. It's already explaining the image even before you see it. So yeah, of course, there are laws regarding it. So you need to read up on design for accessibility. Your drop shadows and stuff like that, that's a UI thing. You need to just go back to your research and of course, you see it in your design too. If your drop shadow is too much. Oh yeah, and there are plugins for checking your accessibility or contrast or some of all these design defects on Figma. There are many, many plugins for checking stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for asking, Emeka. Okay, I will assume there are no other questions. Thank you very much for attending today's session. Look out for your assignment, right? If you have any other question, you can drop it on the chat. We'll be rounding up now. If any other mentor has something to say, now will be a good time. But thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Dara. So, well, in the absence of anyone actually having something to say, so I think I'll just help you round up. Okay, so to the learners, I know some of you may have thinking that you're on break. You're done with your first group task, you've moved to stage 7, and you're catching a bit of cruise, but yeah, I told you the break is actually over. So for some of you who actually are paying much attention, we're actually getting very close and to rounding up at 1.0. So we're almost we're getting to the final stage. That should be about next week or so. Yeah. So yes, we are not done. There's going to be a lot more pressure in this closing time. So I just want to encourage you guys to keep it up and don't think we have actually given you a day or 2 days off. Okay, we're actually going to hit you hard. And this time, especially when it gets to the final project, you're going to have to do better than you did the last time. Kudos to each and every one of you who are already in stage 7 or who have qualified for, who have qualified for promotion. Yes, so kudos to you guys. Well, you all know you can actually be very much better. So keep learning and stay relevant. So thank you, mentors. Thank you, Chidera, Dami, Design Chief, Favor. Trudy was here. I know I saw him. So yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. And another quick congratulations to the new learner turned mentor, Dami. Yes, she's one of the co-hosts now. So congratulations to you, Dami. So to everyone, I think this is me saying goodbye and have a wonderful night. Thank you very much.